All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Fintech Fridays. Second Friday of the year, which is insane. The year is flying by already. It's crazy. I am super excited to have Jason Doshi with us from Payments.io. We're going to learn about a couple things here that I think are very relevant for our industry. And I see this in just about once a week, at least, on news wires around, wire fraud and just the pain points around moving money at the mortgage closing. And Jason, you and your brother have built a very needed and cool product. And I love the story of how you created the product because you guys were business owners. So first of all, Jason, welcome to Fintech Fridays.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Brian. Good morning, and thanks for having me. Excited to be on Fintech Friday. Definitely, you've had some amazing guests on your show, so I'm happy to join that list.
Yeah, this is this podcast thing. First of all, I've never done it before until I started this, and so I'm as amateur as they get. But it's turned into, for me personally, selfishly, it's been a very cool way to learn about different parts of the business and meet cool people like yourself and understand some new products. So I don't know how many people watch and listen, but for me, if it's a podcast for one, I get a lot of value out of it because I'm learning every week. So thanks.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a lot of times, when I do other things like this, and someone messaged me on LinkedIn or through, email and says, hey, I saw, your episode, or I heard you on this other podcast. I'm like, well, I'm glad at least one person heard me and, maybe is a little, better educated or more informed or, found some sort of entertainment out of it. So I'm with you, Brian. It's if one person can enjoy our conversation, I'm all for it.
Yeah, besides my mom, she watches every week. So.
Yeah, exactly. Your moms are always our biggest fans, right?
Right on. Well, let's dive right in, Jason. I think I'd like to start by just having you describe kind of how you got to this place where you and your brother created Payments.io, because I think it's a super interesting and relevant.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited about our story, and I find it interesting. So always happy to share. So, I've been in where I was in the mortgage business for a little over a decade. My brother, who's the other co-founder of Payments.io, was in the title business for about 2 decades. And, we always, talked business and different strategies and how we can grow our business and how we could make our team members, more efficient, how we could provide a better experience to our clients. And about 2.5, 3 years ago, we really started to think about how we could use technology to enhance, again, our internal team members, make them more efficient, and then provide a better experience. So something of a win-win. And when you think about a real estate transaction, it's often one of the scariest transactions in someone's life, and it's a very unique experience because not only is it a big financial decision, it's a big emotional decision, right? So when you're at the intersection of a big financial decision and a big emotional decision, it's bound to get complicated. And the way the current system is structured doesn't help with that either because it's very fragmented, right? You have a real estate agent and you have a mortgage lender, you have a title insurance company, and in between, you have surveyors and inspectors and appraisers and homeowners insurance and all those things. And then, the biggest piece of it is really moving all the money around, right? Dealing with the paperwork is one thing, but then when you move all the money around, that's just fraught with a lot of anxiety because you hope you're doing the right thing. And it's just, keeping your fingers crossed throughout the whole process, hoping your money is safe, hoping you close on time. And as we started to really think about the home buying experience, and my experience, running a mortgage broker, growing it into one of the largest independently owned mortgage brokers in the country, my brother, simultaneously being successful with his title agency, we felt we had the right experience and all the different, the background and the knowledge that comes with operating a mortgage company, a title company in such a fragmented space. And we looked at the biggest pain point that we felt, which was moving money around and payments. And when you think about the home buying process, there's a lot of different touch points where money is involved. And a lot of it, historically and largely today, our goal is to change that dramatically and make it a better experience, but it's done by paper check and wire. And paper checks are, we know, at least I know, I strongly feel that they're not a part of the future. And the biggest elephant in the room is wire fraud.
Yeah.
When you look at those two issues, we feel that, at Payments.io, we're pretty well positioned to kind of help the consumer, have a better experience in the real estate process. And when we look at other aspects of our lives, whether
one
it's
of my perspectives on
food delivery, hospitality,
yeah,
we expect seamless digital experiences. And I think, a lot of the younger home buyers today are not only expecting it, they're begging for it. They're like, we want this to be better.
Yeah.
And I think an industry as a whole, we do need to come together, which is, why, Brian, I love having conversations with people like you, collaborating with companies like FinLocker, because, I'm a strong believer not only of what you guys are doing, but the fact that the only way we can make any sort of significant change is if if we come together as an industry, right? It's extremely fragmented today. Everyone needs to do their part, deliver the best experience they can, add the most value they can. And we're always, excited for partnerships and, strategic partnerships and, whatever we can do to come together as a community and industry to help help make this a better experience.
Yeah. Something I think about often, and the people like us that have been in the business for decades, in the mortgage space specifically, I think we sometimes lose sight on the infrequency of a mortgage transaction in someone's life. The average consumer is going to do this maybe 5 to 7 or 8 times in their entire life, right? Spread 5 to 7 years in between. And I think what happens, and you and I had this conversation before, is there's this perception that, oh my God, the last time I went through this process, by the way, if you're going through a process today in 2022, and the last time you did it was in 2015, it's changed a lot, right? And so your point of reference as a consumer is back to that last time you did it, or what your neighbor or your cousin or your brother told you this process was. So there's already this anxiety around the stress of the process, the complication of the process, and then you hit it on the head, the emotion of buying a new home or selling your old home. And so I think, post, and I'd like to think we're post-COVID. I know we're not, but post
depends on the day of the week and depends on the news outlet.
Yeah, right. And whenever this thing is behind us fully, the expectation of the consumer has been pushed to this concept of mobile now. I need access now, 24/7, 365. And I think what you guys have done at Payments is you're bringing a part of the transaction that frankly has been very archaic. You're dragging it, kicking and screaming sometimes into this modern consumer experience. And it's not just about the consumer experience. Wire fraud is real. How many times do you look at the NBA Newswire, Housing Wire, and you see, such and such in Maryland indicted for, $750,000 of wire fraud. So it's real. It's happening. And I just love how you and your brother kind of took real life practice in mortgage origination and title and settlement and created a solution that really starts to pull together those pieces of an otherwise fragmented process.
Yeah, being Brian, being operators in the space, I mean, we experienced it day in and day out. And a lot of the measures to solve wire fraud are extremely manual, right?
Yeah.
There's some other, market participants out there that ensure that wiring instructions are correct and they are safeguarded. But it's still, relatively manual. The other solution is, don't use wires and use checks.
Yeah.
And, the current, delivery mechanism of wires today is sharing and exposing routing numbers and account numbers. So what we really looked at is if a lot of the fraud is occurring because routing numbers and account numbers are manipulated, how do we safeguard and protect that information? How do we build a platform so that that information isn't shared? It's not exposed.
Yeah.
And at payments.io, that's exactly what we've done. And today, we're on the ACH payment rail. We are moving towards other payment rails like RTP, wire, push to card. But what we've built is it's double blind. So when a consumer is on their phone and they're sending in their earnest money deposit, they're not sharing their routing numbers and account numbers. And, if they're sending in cash to close, they're not sharing their account numbers and routing numbers. When, at the time of settlement and a title agency is dispersing out their mortgage broker commissions, real estate broker commissions, attorney fees, property tax payments to municipalities, when they're paying out all of these that, again, they would historically either do by paper check, putting it in overnight, putting it in the mail, which is largely inefficient, or if they wanted to, at least consider themselves to be more efficient, they would send out a wire. And then with the wire, you have to call up and verify wiring instructions, account number, routing number. And again, it's a very manual process. And, I've been in other title companies where, it's a part of their policy and procedure to call up 2 or 3 times to verify this information. Yeah. And we all know the boom that the industry experienced over the last year and a half. People don't have time. Right. They're skirting their policies and procedures in an effort to save time, but it's extremely dangerous to violate these policies and procedures in the sake of time. And what we built is we allow title agencies to remain efficient, remain compliant, remain secure, and be able to conduct business at the high level of efficiency that they want to be able to maintain the volume that they would like to. So yeah. That's really what we're excited about is we're allowing title agencies to perform at the highest level. We're giving consumers what they want, which is a digital Venmo-like experience where you just click a button, the money's in your account, and vice versa. And what's really nuanced about the title agency world is that they, escrow agents, escrow officers, they have to reconcile and balance each and every file down to 0. And what we've learned, again, being operators in the space is, let's say, for example, you collect a $60 recording fee at closing, and that recording fee happens to be, $59.50. That 50 cents technically is due back to the buyer or borrower because the title agency was only collecting a pass-through and facilitating a process. So if they charge $60, but the actual expense was only $59.50, that 50 cents is due back to their client. And Brian, I don't know the last time, you got a check or deposited a check, but imagine depositing a 50-cent check.
Right.
Honestly, I haven't done it. And I don't know many people that would, even as easy as mobile check deposit and all those things are, people don't deposit those 50-cent checks. And, from your perspective, Brian, like, all right, it's 50 cents, not a big deal. I'll do it later. You forget. You think it's harmless, not a big deal. But in fact, it's causing the title agency a lot of pain because if you don't deposit that check, they can't reconcile and close on that file. They have to send you another check after 6 months. You again, oh, wait, what was this for? I don't remember. Is this real? Right. Why am I getting this? Don't deposit it. Now it becomes, stale funds, unclaimed funds. The title agency has to issue 50 cents to the state because it's not their money. Yeah. They can't hold on to it. And that's a really big pain point. It costs them a lot of time, a lot of money. And with our platform, what we've seen and experienced is that, home buyers, homeowners, they're clicking and accepting that 75 cents because what happens is they get a notification saying, hey, Brian, here's your 50-cent refund for your refinance transaction. click here to accept. You click, 30 seconds, boom, you're done. The money's in your account. You don't have to worry about it. The title company doesn't have to worry about it. And it truly is one of those things that it appears like magic, right?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that was so simple. You love it. The title company loves it because it allows them to remain efficient. And, the only way we were honestly able to build a platform with such intent and such conviction was because we were living and breathing that world for so long.
Yeah.
And, that's why, we feel really excited about where we are and how we really plan on attacking all the different touch points in the real estate transaction where money is being moved and touched.
And I think, like, for me, the big takeaway that you mentioned is you guys have created this Venmo-like experience for mortgage closing and settlement for all participants. And I think when you characterize it as that Venmo-like experience, it resonates with people. Again, I think moving money through Venmo, through Zelle, through Cash App was accelerated through COVID, right? That was people of all ages had to learn how to use these tools to quickly move money. And so I think, to your point, when we talk about, the mortgage experience and bringing a more modern feel to it, that's an area that a lot of people have ignored, right? Especially mortgage lenders. Mortgage lenders are like, well, that's after I'm done. Yeah. I can only focus in my world. And again, I go back to how cool it is that you and your brother brought two fragmented parts of the business together to create a more cohesive user experience. I love it. I'm curious in terms of who your primary client is. I'm assuming it's on the settlement, closing, title side, right?
Yeah. It's a lot of our marketing efforts today are focused on the title agencies, but there's a lot of what we do that's just the general education of the broader market.
Yeah.
Because as a first time home buyer, you may hear about wire fraud in the real estate world, but you may not really know what that means for you.
Right.
It's like, it happened to someone. It's never going to happen to me. I'm smarter than that. I think, a lot of people might feel that way. And it's unfortunate that people kind of get caught in the middle of all this. But yeah, we just, we really think that in order for wire fraud to really kind of go down, check fraud's a thing as well, right? We don't really talk about check fraud a lot because it doesn't happen as frequently, but check fraud's a thing. A lot of the fraudsters that were probably involved in check fraud might have moved over to wire fraud.
Yeah, yeah.
It's, check fraud's a thing. I think it's, completely inconvenient and inefficient to use checks. And with wires, we just want to educate the market on, if you are, conducting a wire transfer, what's the best way to do it, how to safeguard yourself. And it's because it affects tens of thousands of families a year, costs the industry hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And 1 in 3 real estate transactions has attempted wire fraud.
Right.
So it's a serious issue. So a lot of what we do is truly just generally educating the title insurance industry, the real estate industry, home buyers. And I was at a conference, the second half of last year, in the fall of last year, and I overheard a conversation from a title underwriter speaking to a title agency, a newly formed title agent. And, he had mentioned to her that, you'll probably have a wire fraud claim before you have a title insurance claim.
Yes.
So you're really in the business, not of insuring title, but protecting people's money. And that really resonated with me, because when you think about it like that, you have title insurance agents that have been in the business for decades, and you have ones that are just starting out. And, you're a title insurance agent, but when you really think about what you're doing, you're collecting millions of dollars in and out of your account every single day. So when you look back and take a step back and look at what am I doing every day, you're facilitating millions of dollars and ensuring the money is safe and everyone is due what they're due, or gets what they're due.
Right.
So again, when you think about these types of things, we feel we're extremely well positioned because, checks aren't a part of the future. You look at any, younger relative or younger person, we're kind of old now, Brian, but well, I am. I won't speak for you.
I guarantee I am.
I don't have checks, I'm on a personal level, so I can't even imagine, some of these younger home buyers having checks. And we're just, we're happy to be a small piece of this industry to help drive it forward, make it more secure, make it more accessible. And again, just having, conversations with people like you. And I love what FinLocker is doing, and, with the fact of making home ownership more accessible, making it more transparent. Education is a big thing, right? I know education is a big thing for FinLocker. It's a big thing for us. And I think educating the industry, educating the buyer is the only way, we can move forward.
Well, this has been awesome, Jason. I love learning about newer platforms and how they came together. Your story is awesome. And one of the things I think about in the mortgage world, we already talked about the infrequency of the transaction for the individual consumer. We talked about the expectation for a more modern experience. And you've hit this a couple times. The occurrence of fraud, or at least fraud attempts at settlement, is still astronomical, and people are like, well, why would it be so high? And I think the fraudsters are pretty smart, right? These are smart people. It's if you have an infrequent transaction, like buying a home, you're not doing that every day, and then you couple on top of that, like you said early in the podcast, this is a very emotional transaction. So you, as a fraudster, you play on the infrequency. So I don't do this often as a consumer. And then you layer on top of that the emotion. And when I'm going to get an email as a consumer that says, oh, in order to get your loan, your home purchase tomorrow and closing, please send 123 to this email address.
Yep.
We're playing on the emotion. I got to get this done to get the home, to get the money over there. And so I think you guys have definitely, you've hit on a pain point for all kinds of different reasons. I love the, again, how you brought it together. Super excited to see the growth with Payments.io. How do people learn more about your platform?
Yeah, I mean, we're attending a lot of conferences. I actually want to share notes with you after the podcast on if you guys are attending anything in person. But we plan on being out there. We're attending a lot of real estate conferences, title insurance conferences, mortgage conferences. We want to be out there educating the market. Our website, it's Payments. It's Payments with an I. Just to have a little bit of fun with the name. So it's PAYMINTS.io. Our website has a ton of information. I'm available on LinkedIn, and we're again just happy to have conversations with other industry participants that are helping move the industry forward in terms of eliminating paper checks, reducing wire fraud, educating the home buyer, creating a better experience. That's what we're all about. It's just making our lives a little easier and our clients' lives a little easier.
I love it, man. Great stuff. Thanks again for joining today. I learned a lot, as I always do, and look forward to kind of seeing great things from Payments.io. Thanks again, Jason.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Brian. Appreciate you having me on here. It was a lot of fun. Thanks a lot.
You got it.